think we should get started. We have a great deal to do in this session, and it's an interesting and important one. So I don't want to take too long in the... Can't hear? Still, sounds like you can hear. It sounds like it's on anyway. All right. This session is about the independence of think tanks, and as I suggested at the end of the last session, I think this is a crucially important question because we have a question of independence from whom and what, and independence to do what. Obviously, we're worried about government interference in the agenda or the shaping of research or the dissemination of findings. Though, of course, we also want the government to be paying a great deal of attention to what the think tanks are doing and certainly what they're recommending. We need to think about the possible independence from, if you will, global fashions in policy and policy making. The think tanks ought to be able to set their own intellectual agenda as well as their own political agenda. We need to think about independence from the agendas of the funders. Where are the funds coming from? And as Dr. Cato said right at the end of our last session, this question about money ends up being a crucially important question for think tanks. And we also ought to think about the question of our own training and the training of the people who are in think tanks and the extent to which the organization of disciplines and disciplinary training may even be biasing what we do. And the flip side of the coin of independence, and this again came up, I think, in very productive and interesting ways at the end of the last session, is accountability. We want to be independent, but we have to be accountable. And those two things are often hard to reconcile. To discuss these kinds of issues, we have a spectacular panel, and because we don't have very long, I am not going to spend any time rehearsing the extraordinary accomplishments of our panelists. There is a conference booklet that gives you some of their activities and